Hi there, and welcome to another edition of the 1% Better podcast with your host, Rob O'Donoghue.
Hello, folks. Hello, indeed. Okay, so we're going live. Another attempt at a live show. Last week, first time doing it, and didn't have the intro music. This week, added to the effect and have that little bit of intro music playing as you would always hear on the start of the 1% Better podcast. So said I'd put it in because that's where this episode will come out, when it does actually come out. When it's kind of done and dusted, it'll live on that show channel thingy. So yeah, over the last few weeks I've started to think a bit more about doing the live stuff. I've been talking about it for a while, and no time like the present to do it. What have I got to touch on tonight? So yeah, no idea what I'll call this. The live show, the Tuesday TuneIn, perhaps something along those lines. And I have some stuff lined up over the next few weeks where I plan hopefully to have a live podcast interview with some folks that are willing to do it. Just said I'd wait and get the kinks ironed out first, and then hopefully make it a bit more smooth and polished if that's possible. And there is also a chat feature on this tool that I'm using on Spreaker. I'm clicking on it now, not that there's anyone actually here, but for you to actually be able to engage with me on the show, be it directly with me or if I have a guest on over Skype, you would be able to do that on the chat feature if you signed up to Spreaker, as in I think you download the app or create an account or follow me on Spreaker, and you should get the update when the show goes live. But it probably wouldn't make sense if I do the live show on the same time every week and give you guys a heads up beforehand. So I'm just actually looking on Twitter right now to see if a tweet has gone out about the live show, and not yet. So we'll see what happens there. I'll check it on Facebook and see if anything went out there either. Maybe not. Maybe it comes out a few minutes later, but we'll see. It is now 12 minutes past 8 GMT time in Ireland on Tuesday the 17th, and just to let you know what time it is and where things are at. So just a few things that I've been working on over the last week or two that people might want to check out, that listen in and can read or can certainly listen in on. So the first one, as you might know, as you might have heard me talk about over the course of 2018 and maybe just beforehand, I have embarked on a dry 2018 adventure of no alcohol for 12 months, starting on the 1st of January this year. Myself and a good friend, Richie McCaffrey from home in Longford, decided to do it, and we are now over the halfway mark. We're 6 months and 17 days into the journey, and both, as far as I know, still going strong. I know from my side, yes, and despite friends trying to claim otherwise, but no, I'm 100% there. And it's been really interesting and a great learning so far. Lots of cool stuff has happened, and given me lots of time to actually think about, reflect on different scenarios in life. But I've wrote about it a few times, and I have a new blog out, one called Dry 18, Halfway There, and it's worth a read. There's 3 kind of topics that I focus on, and they're events more this time than anything that I faced in the last 80 days, because I did a blog for the 100-day mark and had 7 or so learnings from the first 100 days, which were definitely tougher than the last 80 or so, nearly 100 actually, I suppose, at this point. But so check that out. It's on the website robofthegreen.ie.com, and there's a blog page, and in there you can check them out. And so far it's been a really good to see or hear from other people that are doing something similar or thinking about it or have it's connected with somebody in one way or another to say that's something that they're doing or not drinking as much or whatever. And yeah, as you read the blogs, I did one about why I did one about the 100 days now to halfway. You'll get a good sense of where I was at and why I did it. Certainly had heavier drinking days in my youth and my early 30s, and the last few years had kind of certainly gone in a much more controlled manner, and health-wise was important. But have a read. It's worth checking out. You might get something from it, and somebody else might get something from it. A year certainly seemed like a long time back in December, and not saying it wasn't, but it has been very, very positive. And an analogy I draw that once you go past that, excuse me, the halfway mark on anything, I find it easier on the way home. So certainly with running, and hopefully with this as well. So yeah, that's the Dry 18 article. Check it out and hopefully enjoy. Another update: tomorrow morning I'll be releasing a new episode of the 864 podcast, the one I have for 864 seconds. And now I have 6 episodes out. Tomorrow morning, early, I'll be releasing it. I've recorded with Ruth Scott, who is a very well-known radio DJ in Ireland. And she's been with 2FM for nearly 20 years now. She's with Radio Nova. And I would highly recommend you checking out the 864 tomorrow. I'll be posting it on the social sites, as always. Excuse me. And I think it's probably going to be one of the most listened to because she's well known and she's a good, fun lady, and we have a good, fun chat, and also take some good stuff out of it that you can learn about her from her own career, from challenges she's faced. She talks about the alchemy of live radio, which I was just thinking is kind of what I'm doing right now. It's live, it's going out, mightn't be anybody listening to it, but it is still that buzz of feeling kind of a bit live and interesting. So Ruth talks about that. 15 minutes. I was really, really delighted that she came on. She's from Roscommon, so there was a connection there. Me originally from Longford, so we had a good chat, and I hope you enjoy it. Please do check out the 864. You can register for it or subscribe for it on the iTunes and the other podcast apps, or just go to Spreaker.com and you can follow the show there. And I would very much appreciate if you did that. Again, get in touch. Let me know if it's something you enjoy, if it's something that hits home. But I do expect with Ruth and her following and well-known personality that she is, hopefully it'll be well received and a lot of folks check it out. Okay. The 864 is going along. As I said, probably what I'll do with this show every week, or when I do have some guests that I could come on to it live, I'll probably do kind of an 864, but it might still come out on the 1% Better channel. The episode, the main 1% Better show, which comes out every week. Last week was Leah Olszewski, who was in the US military, and I've got some really good feedback. I know I say that regularly, but people that sometimes don't always take the time to reach out have got in touch and said it was a really good one and also moving in some ways. And Leah talks about her own challenges and life stuff that comes up, and it was a really good experience for me talking to her, going through the story. We talked a few times before and after, and it's certainly worth a listen. So that was last week's one. On Friday of this week, I will be releasing, and I'm just getting it up on another screen here. 1 second. I know who I'm releasing. It's John Murray Headshots, but I just want to talk a little bit more about that. This is the beauty of the live stuff. So yeah, John and I connected, I think, over LinkedIn, Twitter, the usual way I connect with people through this journey. And I think Samantha Kelly, Tweeting Goddess, had something to do with that. So thank you, Samantha. And you probably, if you're from Ireland, you on LinkedIn or some of the social, you'll probably know. Oh, somebody's ringing me there. That's the live radio. That's fun, isn't it? I didn't plan that. So you would probably know John from the headshots that he does. He puts them out. You would see them on LinkedIn and his own site, johnmurrayheadshots.com. Very, very talented at what he does. And we had a really good conversation up in his photography studio in Dublin a couple of months back. And we talked I was very interested in kind of understanding a bit about the psychology around getting your photograph taken. I absolutely have never enjoyed that experience, and John talks in detail about what goes on in the brain when that happens, and we go into details around the Duchenne smile. I think we talk about every part of the brain, be it the hippocampus or the basal ganglia. John, I think, is one part you talk about a good bit. You talk about picture avoidance syndrome. Lots of good stuff in there. We get a good insight into who John is, where he comes from, what he's about, some of the turning points that he's had in his own life, and he certainly comes across as a very happy guy that's in a very good place at the moment and loves what he does, which is absolutely critical, I think, to anything you should do in your life, that you kind of have to like it so that it doesn't feel like work. So that's the one coming out on Friday morning with John Murray, and it's about an hour or so long, a little bit longer. John's also very interested into mindfulness, something you guys probably know that I like as well, so we'll talk a bit about that. I would recommend you checking that out as well. And that's John. What else this week? So yeah, Monday I put out the 1 Minute Monday video. Still developing that idea, but it's gone down well. Some weeks more than others. That's okay. I'm doing it out of my own belief that there's some value in it. And this week I talked about discipline and how discipline is vital to make you achieve your goals and maybe even achieve happiness. Jocko Willink talks about discipline equals freedom. I would say discipline certainly equals happiness, success, if whatever you want to call it, success. So 1 minute there, hopefully a little bit of a inspirational tip, and check out the previous 11 or so that I did on the site as well. They might be of interest. All right, what about anything else that's going on? As I said, this is probably 7 or 8 times I've said it now, but it's kind of a pilot, and wanted to see how it goes down. It will replace my long rambling intros on the 1% Better podcast, which some might like, some might miss, but at least you have this kind of catch-up, catch-all session that could be of interest if you should so wish. And what else will I leave? I did say that, maybe I didn't say, I'm recording an episode tomorrow night. I was going to say this before the phone rang, with Megan Duhamel. So Megan is an Olympic gold medalist ice skater. She won just in the previous Olympics, I think 1 gold, maybe 2. Sorry, Megan. I'm doing my research currently and getting ready for our chat. You're also a vegan, and I'm interested to know how you trained and how you were able to get to that high level of competitiveness and success in that world, on, obviously a different type of diet than maybe a lot of other professional athletes did. So talking to Megan tomorrow night and looking forward to that. Probably be a while before I put it out. As I said, I have a number of 1% Better shows recorded, a few more 864s. Do all this in the spare time, and hopefully some good is coming out of it for others as well as myself, because it is certainly something I enjoy. Alright, so I'm coming up to about 14 minutes. I think I've given enough of an update. That's quite long. Hopefully it made some sense. My only ask, as it always is to subscribe to the podcast, the 1% show, 1% Better show even, or the 864 and the 864, and subscribe to the newsletter by going onto the site. You should get a pop-up. You'll get an email once a week about pretty much everything I talked about here, but in email form with links to the shows. And yeah, let's see how this goes down. I'd love if you took a minute or two to drop me an email. You can get in touch on the site with that, or just go through LinkedIn or Facebook or any of the socials to give me feedback if this is somewhat enjoyable on your walk around the park, if you're listening to it live, or on your commute home in the morning, or if it's commute home tonight. That means you've worked a long day, but hopefully it's all good and you have a nice night. So good night or good morning, and thanks so much for checking it out. Now I want to try and get kind of seamless. Let me see if I can work the old play out music without kind of Making it too noisy. No, probably not. Let me
that was
see.
the 864, 864.
No, we'll just leave it. We'll leave it as is. Guys, thanks for checking it out, and look forward to your feedback from the Ruth Scott show tomorrow on the 864, the John Murray 1% Better show on Friday. Thanks a lot. Good luck.